Well, you know, football players sign multi-million-dollar contracts, but one of the Chargers still loves shopping at thrift stores. Annie Halbrin explains.
I'm Annie. I'm here with King Dunlap, left tackle for the San Diego Chargers. We're at Goodwill. Now, King, I like Goodwill.
Love it.
I always find steals at Goodwill, but here's the deal. You just signed a very large contract, a 4-year contract. Explain why you're going shopping at Goodwill.
That's just me, man. Kind of me, same old down-to-earth guy. One of my buddies got me on it a couple of years ago, my guy Brian Baker. It's a good time. You never know what you're going to find. There's always some classic, some unicorn you'll find in there that you haven't seen in a while, something that reminds you of someone you were a kid.
And when you're 6'9", 300-plus pounds, you got to try and find clothes where you can, right?
Exactly.
Let's go. We're finding the hidden gems.
Let's do it.
What size do you wear? Because, I mean, that's going to be the tricky part here.
Yeah, that's usually the trouble with thrift stores is being a 4XL guy.
Maybe a little too loud for you, are you feeling?
Yeah, the bright colors. I had this shirt back when I was in college. YMCA basketball.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You had to have done that.
I was a YMCA kid. And jeans are probably the hardest thing for me to shop for. Yeah, now see this is 4X Ray Nike shirt. I'm gonna get it, that's perfect.
That's a dress on me, but it is good. This isn't really you, King.
No,
okay.
This is not really my thing.
Anything that you see in the case right here? Like,
I didn't see this, look at this. I'm sorry. See, you never know. It's a great find. I'm gonna have to get this myself. And it's all right, that was the first game system I ever had.
How about Phillip Rivers? Anything you find for him?
No, I don't even. Do they have any bolo ties? You know, we'll grab it and see if he likes it. Let's see if we can find something for Joe.
See if we find anything for Jody.
We got to get him something that's going to be funny. Boom.
Let's see.
We'll go with this one. A nice, colorful shirt, Joe. Just for you, Coach.
You've known Jody since he tried to recruit you out of high school.
I've known Jody since I was 15 years old. When Jody met me, I was 240 pounds. He told me a long time ago, he said, I know you don't think it, but one day you'll be this big 300-pound man, and you'll be big and strong and physical and play in the NFL. I thought he was crazy because back then it was all basketball for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, look at me now, 15 years later, I'm doing exactly what he said I was going to do.
And playing
for
under
him.
him.
Yeah. It's been great for me, man. You know, playing for a coach that you like. You know, the technique he teaches is what I've been doing, you know, what I've done since I was in high school. Yeah.
7th round draft pick, 2015 is your 8th season in the NFL. 7th round draft picks sometimes don't even make it past the first season. You've got to just feel like, okay, I made it.
No, I'll never feel like I made it. I worked really, really hard from day one, and I said, you never made it. And that's one thing about Joe D too. He tells me, he reminds me, he said, just because you got paid doesn't mean you made it.
Your name, King Dunlap. Where'd that name come from?
Oh, I'm the fifth. It's a family name.
Okay.
My full name is King David Dunlap the Fifth. It's motivating, you know, being kind of the hierarchy of the family, you know, having that name. You know, from talking about family members, every one of us, we've kind of been, you know, looked up to take care of the family and being, you know, kind of being that guy for our family. And I was it's about that time for me to step in that role. My dad being a little older now.
Yeah. As far as your dad, he played in the NFL as well, right? He was a defensive tackle?
Defensive tackle.
Baltimore Colts?
Yeah.
So
back in the early 70s.
What did he teach you growing up?
The biggest thing he's taught me was be physical, use your hands, and always get your homework done. Because he got hurt his second year in the league, and, you know, he had to fall back on his education. So school first.
Something you pass on to your kids, too?
No question. No question. Let's see what kind of music we got. Let's see if we can find a good old...
See if we can find some 90s.
Yeah.
Boys to Men, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's
definitely,
a good one.
Definitely a Boys to Men fan. Water Runs Dry.
Great song. Yeah. Was this ever like King taking a girl out on a date? Would that be like back in high school?
No question.
When was like your big growth spurt?
Between my 8th grade and freshman year of high school. I grew about 6 inches over the summer. My freshman year of high school was pretty rough. I went from a size 12 to a size 15 shoe. You know, and then going through puberty to, you know, being one of the tallest guys in school, but you're still young, and you got pimples all over your face going through puberty, your voice is scratching. It was rough. It made me better though. Like I said, I got through it, and you know, I look where I'm at now.
Exactly. I will say I put on some heels today just
so
I could be in your shot. Yes.
Check this one out though. San Diego Chargers locker room.
Okay, this is awesome.
Forward by Dan Fouts. Wow.
This is actually really cool.
Yeah. Doug and Charlie Joyner and Kellen Winslow. I told you, you never know what you might find. It's like a Snuggie.
You had a good shopping expedition here.
We did.
At the Goodwill. We got some great stuff. Yeah. Some shirts for Jody, a bolo tie for Phillip. Yeah. Books for your son, bracelets for your daughter.
Yeah, pretty good. And Atari for me.
Atari for you. We're good.
Today was a good day.
That's awesome. I go looking for the albums. I have to confess. I have a couple old turntables, and I like doing the album thing.
There was some really good stuff in there.
Was there?
Yeah, there were some really good albums. We spent some time in the album section, but he had some things in mind he was looking for. And I loved it. He bought something for his son. He bought something for his daughter, so he made sure his family was covered too. But he was after it. He was trying to find those little steals.
Yeah, and for Joe D.
And for Joe D.
Now we've talked about this every show, it seems, about the changes in the offensive line. I don't think Joe D gets enough credit.
No, he doesn't. No, to keep a line performing the way they have done so far with all the changes and just the flip-flopping and shuffling that has gone on, it's amazing that he's kept it together and kept that line playing for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He's also a really good guy. I know that we always talk about the on-the-field stuff, but he's a very caring, very, someone who's always looking out for these players off the field as well, and really for the whole community there at the Chargers. So really, really good guy to know as well.
King seems like a heck of a guy.
Yeah, can you believe that?
For him.
And 7th-round draft pick, and he's battled his way. Of course, we filmed that in the offseason, but he'd love to be out there playing right now. He's just one of the many been injured.
Absolutely, and Philip would love to have him out there too.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, of course, didn't play, but fans did not take the day off. Here with a sample, a roundup of the social media activity is Football Night producer Richard Dorsha.
Hi, Laz.
Hey there.
Yeah, I don't want to show you all the comments that said, the Chargers didn't lose today. I'm not going to say there were a lot, but there were. Instead, let's start with a question for the former players over there. Glenn wants to know, does a bye week represent enough time to get healthy? Laz, I've always wondered, does a week off really do you that much good in the NFL? I mean, you're still practicing. It's not like you get to sit down and play Call of Duty for 7 straight days, right?
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
I never really experienced it. We would play Thanksgiving Day in Detroit, so for 5 years I experienced a long week, but I always thought that was real beneficial.
And that usually turned out to be like a Thursday night nowadays because I played on Thanksgiving, Detroit on Thanksgiving while I was in Green Bay a lot, and it was a short week, the first experience of having that.
But you've experienced bye weeks, and they do help.
And bye weeks are absolutely essential, especially even to guys who are playing. It really re-energizes the body and really gives you a chance to reset and really get focused back in on the rest of the season, whatever's left.
And Richard, the team has never lost in the bye week.
That's absolutely true, 100%. I will tell you that also another profession gets bye weeks. It's being a school teacher. Anyway, I think we can all agree that referees throw too many flags in the NFL today. But in the Sunday night game, the Eagles stopped the Cowboys on a 3rd and 1. The play was over, but an Eagles player said something to a Dallas player, and he was called for taunting, which led to this comment. Richard doesn't seem to think taunting should even be a penalty. And you know what? He's right. These are 8-year-olds. We're not teaching them manners. They want to talk trash. Let them talk trash. What's the harm? Is the NFL the politeness police? I have more of a problem with celebrating after a 6-yard reception than a guy trying to jaw at another guy and get in his head. I know, Nail, you never did that, right? Never.
I'm laughing. I'm trying to hold it in because I got a taunting penalty before and a flag and a fine. I got fined from the NFL for taunting.
Nail, what did you say? Can you tell us?
So I can't tell you on air what I said, but I can tell you that it depends on what's said, which determines the flag. I mean, the refs are sitting right there, so they hear what's coming out of your mouth. So it depends on what's said, and I used some pretty bad language. I was in the moment. We got an interception, and I knocked him out.
Should you have been penalized?
No. Well, I should have been penalized, but I shouldn't have been fined.
Okay.
So much trash talk that goes on, right?
Yeah,
it's the game. It's what happens.
Sure.
I wonder, too, I mean, it can get in their heads, right? Can't it get in their heads a little?
It can.
It can distract a player.
Yeah, it was against Vince Young. He was with the Titans, and I laid him out on an interception return, and I stood over him and said some things, but it was more of a,
Wasn't it enough of you laid him out?
No.
Richard, you're right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I also want to vent, if that's okay. I'm tired of quarterbacks being judged on one statistic, the number of Super Bowl rings. A debate broke out about the 2004 quarterback class. You know, Roethlisberger, Rivers, and that loser in New York. I want to remind everyone that Super Bowls are won by teams. As important as a quarterback is, he cannot win a title on his own. If you think Brad Johnson or Trent Dilfer are better quarterbacks than Dan Fouts and Dan Marino, you need your head examined. Joe Namath was the MVP of Super Bowl III. He only completed 17 passes for 0 touchdowns. What is so valuable about that? You want to know why the Jets won that game? The Colts turned it over 5 times. How about picking a Jets defensive player as MVP? Right, Laz? Defense? Football's a team game, people. Phillip Rivers doesn't stink because he doesn't have a ring. Thank you.
Someone take his soapbox.
Yeah,
Anybody?
we let him vent. It's the only way to get him back to get to get
his
him to
time.
work. Yeah, it's just time. But you know what? Joe Namath might have won that Super Bowl with his attitude. The whole week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, leading up to that game. It was probably just 1 week back then. And in that regard, I think that, yeah, maybe that was warranted. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. How are you going to judge the class of 04? By Super Bowl rings or by production on the football field? If it's by production on the football field, a hard time not picking Philip Rivers as the best of the lot.
I agree.
Yeah, you can't take anything away from Philip Rivers because he's done so much.
So is this remarkable? I think we've agreed with Richard on all three of his items.
You would be wise to do that more frequently, Laz.
Oh,
You're
my
welcome
goodness.
to connect with
Clarence
me.
over there shaking his
You didn't
head.
hear about it.
I'm going to
Yeah,
post
I didn't hear about it.
up on the screen. And you can get my attention at Football Night SD. You can get Laz's attention at Lazward. You can see Derek. You can see Todd on there. We might use your tweet next Sunday night. We do have a bye week. I'll have plenty of time, Laz, plenty of time to rant and rave and do all that stuff next week.
Oh,
No, you
gosh.
won't. No, you won't.
We'll bounce
I'll
it out.
see to it. Don't worry. So our analysts have some final thoughts, and I get the last word. That's next.
Don't just watch the game. Open up a can of football with a crisp, refreshing Bud Light.
How's he doing? He's very close. Right, honey?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Blue. Blue?
Blue. We close in 2 hours.
San Diego loves its football team and its Hondas.
Heads it is.
If you haven't checked out Covered California in a while, we've got some new options that might interest you, like adult dental coverage. Great news for you and your sweet tooth. To find free, local, in-person help, visit coveredca.com. Find out if you could get help paying for health insurance with just your age, income, zip code, and the number of people in your household. Information you probably know off the top of your head. Enroll by December 15th to be covered by January 1st.
With Empire Today's new half-price sale, our best sale. Get beautiful floors and professional installation for half price. That's carpet with installation, half price. Hardwood with installation, half price. Tile or vinyl plus installation, half price. And laminate with installation, half price. That's half price for your whole project. Floors and professional installation. It's Empire's new half-price sale. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. How can you see the difference in a top quality paint job? Go with Brad. We use only the best brands and expert painters. You will get outstanding results.
You'll be glad when you go with Brad. Go with Brad.com.
I thought it was going to be a little scary. I was a little anxious, but once I started speaking to the people at John Hine Mazda, it was really easy.
Thank you for making us #1 in San Diego.
I'm really glad I got mine at Hine.
I got mine at Hine.
Introducing our 2015 NFL lineup. Get your favorite team's Bud Light can for game day.
Well, some final thoughts on the Chargers-Bears. We start with the rookie on the left side there, Rich Ornberger.
Just win. I mean, honestly, just win. It comes down to getting out there in front of a crowd. It's a hometown crowd. Sure, Chicago might travel well, but just win. It'll quiet all those Bears fans.
Yeah.
I hope this is the game where the season turns around. We look back in 3 or 4 weeks and say, oh, man, right before the bye week, they kicked it in gear and they beat Chicago on Monday night. That's where it all started. They make a good run at the division, get their name up there in the top of that list, and start competing a little bit.
Well, things broke well today with the Broncos and the Raiders losing.
Yeah.
Annie.
Philip Rivers said this week if they were kids and they were told they were going to go play Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears, they'd have fun. They wouldn't care what their record is. I think you got to go out there, play clean football, but just have fun, enjoy it, have some backyard ball.
Sounds good, Coach.
I think the schedule is favorable. They got the Broncos twice, home and away. They have the Kansas City Chiefs twice, home and away, and then the Raiders, all division opponents who they know very well. Throw in Jacksonville and Miami, and this is a good schedule for the Chargers.
You know, so many changes. I hope they've had a good week preparing because that's what it takes to win football games in the National Football League. Gentlemen, Annie, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us. Don't forget Jerome's Furniture Sports Wrap at 11:35. We'll talk some more about the Chargers and a recap of the day's activities. So, again, thank you for joining us.